Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you happen to be. This is your weekly update. I'm just going to talk through a couple of the assignments and a couple of the things going on in the course. Make sure that you're on track, and then jump forward and give you a couple of inklings about what's going to come next in the course. Okay, let's start by looking back at the course content again. By the time you see this, you'll also have access to the second module. I'm just going to go ahead and give you that access so that way you can start planning ahead. That won't be until really the second half of September, but we're moving into the first half of September at this point, so it's nice to be able to plan ahead and to see those assignments and to be able to say I need to work on my biology here, my accounting here, and my English here. So I'm trying to give you that opportunity. At this point, and you're going to see this video on Wednesday, but it's Monday for me when I'm making it right now. Just a couple quick reminders. When you do the peer editing assignment, there are two parts to this. Part 1 is to post your paragraph, and part 2 is to respond to somebody else. Make sure that you do copy and paste these questions and that you do at least 50 words of response. The questions themselves do not count. Try to make your feedback specific. It's really no help to your peer when you say something very broad like, I like what you've done here. Okay, well, what do you like about it? I mean, give them more. The more specific you can be, the more helpful it's going to be to that other person. That you are going to be a second set of eyes on their work. I mentioned in a prior video that I like to have a second set of eyes on my work as well. I talked about the post that I made with all the Zoom sessions on it. I had somebody else read over that for me. That's very much exactly what you need to be doing as well. You need somebody else reading over your work, and now you are that person for somebody else. So the more specific you can be, the more helpful it's going to be to them. Again, I mentioned before, if I have to, I'll break people up into groups because I think smaller sizes in these groups might be more beneficial. If people seem to be sheepish or just kind of passing through it on a larger scale, sometimes that one-on-one or smaller, maybe like 3 or 4 people in a group can help that. So I'm going to give it through 1.2, and if I see that people are still struggling on this, I will break people into groups. But I just want to give you this reminder. There are 2 parts. Make sure you do both parts. And then after you get done with that, again, just as a quick reminder, you do the E assignments first. That's why they're on top. And then you hand in your final draft to me, and then I grade that final draft. That's where I give you feedback. It's worth noting again, reminding you again, I grade for grammar and spelling and punctuation and all of that business on the final submission to me. This is, you handed it in and you responded using the questions to other people. That's where you're getting your grade there. I might give you a little bit of feedback, especially if nobody else gives you any feedback. I will definitely give you more detailed feedback on this assignment. I will make sure that this assignment is useful to you. Otherwise, that's where we've been. So you're working on your body paragraph. You should have your body paragraph this week on Thursday. That's for other people to look at and edit. Next week, you're going to hand that in to me. I'll grade that, give you some feedback, a little bit of direction. You're going to take all that feedback from all these assignments and you're going to build it to the 1.3 essay. Okay, 1.3 essay, purpose and audience. Again, a combination of all these things. You should be using your feedback. Don't just copy and paste it and dump it in there, and don't use any of the feedback, because then you're going to do you're going to receive a very poor grade on this. Another quick thing, because I want to make sure that you kind of bridge over. I talked about it in the 8 a.m. session on Monday with the students. We kind of walked through the concept of paragraph formation and moving toward the purpose and audience paper itself. We did a little bit of peer editing and instructor editing with some paragraphs that some of the students had inside that session. I can't recommend these sessions enough to you. They're very useful to the people that show up and put in that hour every week. You don't have to show up for all 3. Just pick one, go to it. You don't have to unmute. If you have kids or something in the background, you're in good company. That's exactly, we've had several people show up and they had children in the background. It's not a problem at all. Don't feel like, oh, I'm going to be the odd one out. No, these are designed to help you. So what I was saying in that session earlier, though, is as we move into rhetorical strategies, one of the ones that we will be addressing going forward will be narration. Narration often is coupled with description. And in this very first paper, Purpose and Audience, you're doing that intuitively. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I don't want to preempt anything too much. But narration is a basic human strategy. Every single person watching this video, every single person on the planet is going to do a narration at some point today, because we tell each other stories all the time. Hey, my day was good. Here are the reasons why. Hey, my day was bad. Here are the reasons why. Here are the stories that shape my life. And so it's the same thing with this very first essay. You're telling stories and you're using descriptive language, and you need to take those things and, again, sort of build them into that purpose and audience. So we've started you kind of on narration and description before we even really get to it, because you're already doing it intuitively. By the time we reach this point in the course, we'll be asking you to do it more cognizantly. We'll be asking you to harness certain strategies. But for right now, if you want to, you can go ahead and start to kind of peek into the second module and say, yeah, let me look at these strategies and see if they can help generate more ideas for me. Okay. I'll give you in brief also the thing that I did in the lecture this morning. I'm going to scoot forward here down to the very bottom. You can pause it. I'm just going to go ahead and read through this, but you can pause it and read these on your own. I'm going to assume that you paused it right there and read them. The top one is very subjective. It digs, straight into the person's emotions. And as a paragraph, we can't really understand what's going on here. It's just it happened. I don't know what it is. You're not telling me. Maybe that information was in your introduction, but each paragraph should be able to ideally stand on its own. These paragraphs are about the exact same thing. And so the second paragraph gives us more information. It tells us what that event is. It does include some of the same language. In fact, I've marked that language out for you so that you can see the one-to-one correspondence. It repeats some of the same phrases or concepts. The orange one is actually the same concept. It's just in different language. But it also gives us transitions to be able to move between the ideas. It gives us a clear sense of what that event was. And it gives us some objective information, objective being information that anybody could see at any time. And then it shares that with us, and then it wraps the emotions into that. That's what your purpose and audience paper ought to be doing. Yes, you could be talking about your emotions. There's no problem with that. But it's one thing. I gave them the example this morning. I said, I'm thirsty. If I say I'm thirsty, that's a very different thing from me saying I'm thirsty and then picking up a bottle of water and drinking out of that bottle of water. Right? Now I've demonstrated that to you. Everybody can say, look, he's thirsty because he picked up that water and he drank out of that water bottle, rather than me just saying it, right? Or saying how I feel. So rather than doing a paragraph like this, concentrate on finding details like this that you can include. Show what anybody standing in that room could see, and then again, tie in how you felt. Don't start with how you felt. Again, how you felt needs to be a part of what anybody in that room could see under any given circumstances. All right, now I'm not going to repeat again, too much more of what I had said this morning, but that gives you some idea of how you can go about building your paragraphs and how you can improve your paragraphs. If you didn't do that as you submitted 1.2e, don't sweat it. I'm sharing this with you because this is a way that you can improve going to 1.2, or that you can build your other paragraphs going into the full paper for 1.3. One other thing about 1.3, I just want you to be aware of this and be thinking about this. I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. You cannot have just 5 paragraphs for this essay. You need to make sure you have at least 6 paragraphs. That's because we want you to move beyond the 5-paragraph essay structure. If you're going to write a 10-page paper, you can't possibly do it in 5 paragraphs. You need to do it in 6 paragraphs, 7, 8 paragraphs, whatever you need. And if you're not practicing that right now with the very first paper, and we require this for every other paper in the class as well, then we're not really doing you the service that you need as concerns this class. Okay, that's it. That was a little longer than normal, but that's it. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Stop by the session. You can come to my session or anybody else's session. And I hope to see you or talk to you soon. See you next week.